Well, we have some excellent speakers tonight. Ed Meese is here with us. Ed has been with the ACRU as long as John Armour was. In fact, longer. Ed was on the original board of directors and policy board and still is. Thank goodness, Ed, for you. And I'd like for you to come forward now, Ed, and say a few words about John. And thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan, and thanks to all of you for being here tonight. I see a lot of friends here, friends of the ACRU. That's not a Japanese ACLU. and a lot of good friends of the conservative movement. But it is great to be here and very appropriate that we should gather together under the auspices of the American Civil Rights Union to talk about John Armour and to talk about this book. Copies are available over there for sale this evening, and I see that Michelle has signed a number of them to commemorate this particular event and this particular date. But it is good. And so Susan, Michelle, and all of you to be with you tonight. Obviously, we wish we were here under other circumstances in the sense that we wish John was here with us. But it's certainly good to hear from Michelle how much he was able to appreciate this book while he was with us. And nonetheless, we have the chance, even without him in person being here, to celebrate this work that he's accomplished here. It's a terrific book, as was pointed out earlier by Susan, but the fact that you have we have Thomas Paine's words, and then you have John Armour's comments, as well as some great illustrations that really bring this the idea that's expressed in the various chapters or cantos, as he called them, bring them to life. So, John was not only a prolific writer, but as Michelle pointed out, besides being a defender of the Constitution, he was also a very colorful person. And that colorful life was portrayed in his representation of Benjamin Franklin. It was a way in which he got people to be interested in the founders. And I was talking to Michelle earlier to say, how did he ever get started in this? And he thought this was a way in which to attract attention to that marvelous group of people that started this country, and particularly Benjamin Franklin, who he impersonated or presented really to the public so well. He, in full costume, he would go to children's groups around the area, really around the East in various places. He would be present at the Tea Party events, and as a result, he was actually almost became Ben Franklin as far as people were concerned, and did a great job in that regard. But it was really in the mountaintop that Michelle talked about, where his prolific pen was really at work, and where away from the city and away from distractions, he could put his remarkable capabilities, his mental capabilities, and his creative genius, he could put that to work. He wielded a mighty pen for freedom, and he understood the Constitution. He understood the importance of the Constitution, and he understood that we have God-given rights that were enshrined in the Constitution. And he brought those in his many writings, and particularly in the work that he did for the ACRU, which was, of course, founded to protect those God-given rights. Needless to say, we've all seen examples of how there are some in our country who use the words "a living constitution." When you hear those words, look out, because what they're really doing is they are trying to fool us into thinking, by using the words "living constitution," that we should accept their views about a document that they consider dead, useless, and irrelevant. It wasn't long ago that the Speaker of the House of Representatives was asked if Obamacare, the legislation with Obama's health program, was constitutional. And her response was, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" In other words, too many of our leaders, those that have been elected to defend the Constitution and protect the Constitution, deem it irrelevant. Well, John Armour didn't. John Armour realized that the real Constitution is a vibrant document which is as important today as it was when it was ratified and when it was adopted in the late 1780s. And because of that, he was a thorn in the side of the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, which he exposed the way in which they were not protecting the rights of all the people in this country, and he exposed that each week in the documents and the publications of the ACRU. His wit was well represented in those jibes at the ACLU, and was present there just as it's present in this book here. I think that Thomas Paine would be very proud of this book and the work that John did, the fact that he honored Thomas Paine and the common sense, the reasoning, and all of the rest that was put together in Thomas Paine's work and is now brought up to date with the commentaries that we have. Well, we have other geniuses around. We have another excellent speaker here this evening who is going to talk to us. He's Jed Babin. Let me get that again. Jed Babin. And Jed is well known, I know, to many of you. He's a nationally known journalist. He's an author himself. He's a well-known speaker. And he brings, like John Armour, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of appreciation of the first principles and the real values of our country. He's a specialist in things such as history, politics, and national security. And we're fortunate to have him with us tonight. Jed is a former Air Force member of the Judge Advocate General's Corps. He was Undersecretary of Defense in the first Bush administration and was an editor of Human Events. He's been a regular guest on talk shows, on television. He's been on shows like The O'Reilly Factor, Fox and Friends, and other programs such as that. He's also been a guest radio host for people like Oliver North, Laura Ingraham, Hugh Hewitt, and many others. So I think it's very appropriate that he's here tonight as we honor John Armour, as we talk about Thomas Paine, for him to give us a few words of his knowledge and his understanding of our Constitution and his understanding of why we're all together tonight. He's an author of several books. If I read all of the titles, it would take more time than he has available to speak. And so let me just say that we're proud to have you, Jed, and thank you for being with us tonight.